Hello and namaste everyone, Pratima here, and today I will be talking about Motorola's latest 5G mid-range phone, the Moto G71 5G. It costs 19,000 rupees in India and 300 euros in the European market for the Soul 6 128GB variant. And at this price, if you take a quick look at its specs, it does seem a bit boring. However, Motorola is one of the very few brands that offers a clean stock Android experience, but is that enough in 2022? For that, one of my team members and avid Motorola fan since the days of Moto G first gen and Moto X Style has been using the Moto G71 for more than a month now, and I will be sharing all his experiences here. Okay, first things first, what we really liked about the Moto G71 is its design. The last G series phones from Motorola, the G40 and G60, to be very honest, had pretty boring designs. But the G71 is quite the opposite. Granted, it's still a plastic back with a glass-like finish, but it's sure to grab your attention, as it did mine, especially in this Arctic blue variant. It looks quite refreshing and surprisingly premium too. Another thing about this color is that fingerprints and smudges are less noticeable than they would be on a black glossy surface. So even without a cover, the G71 does not appear as messy or untidy as it might be. Moreover, at 8.5 millimeters of thickness and just 179 grams of weight, the G71 is quite ergonomic to anyone with small hands, and you will have no complaints regarding its weight distribution too. The back also houses a fingerprint scanner with the iconic bat wing Motorola logo. And after some days, your index finger will rest perfectly on this. However, the sensor itself is a tad bit slower. Sadly, the G71 is also void of any kind of IP rating. Motorola does say that it has a water-repellent design, and the hybrid SIM tray also enjoys rubber gasket protection to prevent from water and moisture damage. Anyways, it has a dedicated Google Assistant key placed on the right frame, while the buttons here have decent tactile feedback too. You will not miss out on a 3.5mm headphone jack here either. Alright, up front we get a 6.4 inches AMOLED panel with full HD plus resolution. It's a good quality AMOLED screen that delivers a pitch black contrast, a great color reproduction, as well as viewing angles. And although it does not come with HDR certification or anything of that sort, the full HD content looks good here because of a good quality panel. The experience would have been even better if Motorola could have gone with a bit slimmer chin up front though. With 700 nits of brightness, outdoor visibility is not much of an issue on the screen either. Plus, the ambient light sensor works well enough to adjust the illumination level. That said, the big miss on this screen is the lack of a higher refresh rate. Yes, the G71 settles for a standard 60Hz panel, and Motorola has not compensated for this with the inclusion of a higher touch sampling rate either. Yet, one crucial thing to understand here is, unlike other 5G phones in this price bracket, such as the Redmi Note 11T 5G or the Realme 8S 5G that comes with an IPS screen, Moto has included an AMOLED screen here, which is definitely praiseworthy. And if you ask me, I am totally down for a contrast-rich AMOLED panel over the higher refresh rate IPS screen any day. Now let's talk about the hardware underneath. The Motorola G71 is powered by the 6nm Snapdragon 695 chipset, which we are going to see on plenty of mid-range phones in 2022, including the upcoming Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G. The Snapdragon 695, despite its weird naming convention, is a slightly upgraded version of the Snapdragon 750G with a 6nm process node and powerful Cortex A78 cores. Another thing that I need to highlight here is that it has UMCP storage. UMCP basically means a unified multi-chip package that integrates DRAM and UFS storage onto a single chip, taking up less space than a discrete memory and storage solution. In our real-world usage, the G71 handled day-to-day tasks pretty well, and you will have no complaints regarding its RAM management either. It can easily store 8 to 10 apps in its memory, and multitasking between the apps is a breeze too. Pair that with Motorola's optimized MyUX interface, the overall experience gets even better. It also does not have any bloatware app pre-installed. Plus, you get all the Moto exclusive features like Chop Chop and Twist that you can take advantage of. On to the gaming side of things, PUBG Mobile caps out at HD graphics and high frame rate settings where you can get a fairly stable 30 FPS gameplay. But for the smoothest experience, you can dial down the setting to smooth graphics and ultra frame rates, where you can enjoy 40 FPS gameplay with no hiccups or anything of that sort. Likewise, Call of Duty Mobile is pretty optimized and is playable at high graphics and max frame rates with minimal jitters. However, the Snapdragon 695 does not handle graphic-intensive games like Genshin Impact that well. You have to dial down everything in the setting to load to get a playable 30 FPS gameplay, and even at this setting, stutters greet you every now and then. By the way, there's also a high performance setting in the Moto Game Time mode, yet I did not find any major performance bump after turning it on. But overall, the Moto G71 is a very good phone for day-to-day usage. The haptic feedback of the Moto G71 is quite decent too. It definitely does not compare against the high-end phones, but it's good for a mid-range device. Sadly, in the software update scenario, it's bad news. It's still on Android 11, and despite the company claiming that they would roll out Android 12 firmware by the end of February, I am yet to receive one. But what's even more frustrating is that it is eligible for just a year of OS upgrade. Yes, just 1 year. That means that it will only get updates from Android 11 to Android 12, and this is really disappointing for a company famed for its clean Android experience. So I hope Motorola looks into this and provides at least an update for 2 years, because that's a bare minimum for a mid-range phone in my books. Anyway, what's great about the Moto G71 is its battery life. The company has managed to fit a big 5000 mAh cell on this sleek form factor, and that's already something. Even with heavy usage consisting of hours of content consumption, gaming, photo and video shooting, and casual web browsing, all through the review period, we managed to net out 9 to 10 hours of screen on time. And not only this, its standby time is pretty impressive as well. I'll go as far as to say that it's as good as the iPhones. The max overnight battery drain I have found on this device is just 2 to 3%. Charging this phone is not taxing either. It ships with a 33-watt fast charger inside the box that takes around 1 hour and 5 minutes to fully juice up the device. Alright, on to the cameras. Based on my past experience with mid-range Motorola phones, cameras were never the strongest suit of those devices. So I was eager to see if the G71 can save its reputation this time. Sadly, the story remains the same. As you can see from these camera samples, generally the daytime photos from its primary sensor come off with low contrast. With good lighting conditions maintained, you can get good results with natural colors. Besides that, the images have a slightly warm tone, and the dynamic range is good enough for a mid-range device. The ultra-wide photos don't retain much detail, and I also noticed color fringing in its images, which occurs when the camera's image processing results in colored edges. Moreover, when shooting in direct sunlight, the photos get hazy too. Okay, when it comes to nighttime photography, as with most other mid-range phones, you will notice muddy images with very less detail. The night mode does not work as effectively as expected either. Most of the time, the G71's post-processing brightens the entire image and makes it appear unnatural, and the details do not improve significantly either. Also, the images lack proper exposure control as well. In portrait images, the edge detection is good if you have even light, and it preserves skin tone well. Similarly, the HDR processing works effectively to preserve the background bokeh effect too. However, the selfies from its 16-megapixel camera are not that good. It yields average results even if you maintain a good lighting condition. Okay, in terms of videography, the back cameras can capture 1080p videos at up to 60 FPS. But as you can see, the stabilization is only available at 30 FPS, and the 60 FPS video comes off quite wobbly. The selfie videos on the Moto G71 5G caps out at 1080p 30 FPS, and the field of view is not very wide either. As you can see, the subject looks very soft and there's not much detail to talk about here. Lastly, for audio, you only get a mono speaker here with support for Dolby Atmos. So if you're coming from a stereo speaker setup, you will surely miss the immersive audio experience. However, this mono speaker setup is quite loud and is fine for watching YouTube videos and such. Even at the highest volume, vocals sound pretty clear and there's some bass to notice as well. Likewise, I haven't faced any problem in terms of call quality, while the proximity sensor works very well too. So, is the Motorola G71 5G a good mid-range option? Well, my answer will be a yes as well as a no. See, if you want a 5G phone, you should put these devices in an alternative universe where the mid-range value for money 4G smartphones do not exist. And being a mid-range 5G phone, the Moto G71 has a bunch of talking points like an AMOLED screen, a fairly capable chipset, and a really good battery life. My one criticism of the brand is that it could have done way better in terms of its cameras and its software update policy, which would have made this device a better all-round package. So if you're looking for a mid-range 5G phone and don't wander around places taking photos, the Moto G71 5G is a great choice. That being said, if you want a true value for money smartphone that does not compromise on specs, I would still recommend going with a 4G handset. So guys, that was all for our full review of the Motorola G71 5G. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Till then, I'm Pratima and thank you so much for watching.